comedy, and of course, a #1 hit on the recording charts.
I wrote Carol a fan letter when I was a senior in high school. I had entered a contest.
Comedy, and of course, a #1 hit on the recording charts. I wrote Carol Burnett a fan letter when I was a senior in high school. I had entered a contest. Vicki Lawrence was only 17 when she joined the Carol Burnett show. Everyone else was older, trained, experienced. She wasn't. But what happened behind those studio doors wasn't just about age. Carol Burnett had strict rules that applied differently to Vicki. One day, she broke character during rehearsal. Carol stopped everything, called the entire cast to center stage, and gave a lecture that left Vicki frozen and humiliated. That wasn't the worst part. The writers deliberately tested her with impossible scenes. Tim Conway hid her scripts, and the stress gave her painful hives that covered half her body. But the real shock, the 5-year silence that followed. Vicki Ann Axelrad was born on March 26, 1949, in Inglewood, California, in a modest neighborhood not far from Los Angeles. Her father, Howard, had deep scars from the past. His Jewish family had fled Austria in the 1930s to escape rising threats and made it into America through Ellis Island. Howard worked hard to become a certified public accountant, but even with qualifications, he wasn't welcome everywhere. People canceled meetings when they saw his last name. Some wouldn't even shake his hand. His wife, Annaline Lloyd, had German Jewish roots too, but she left that behind when she became a devoted Christian Scientist. That meant there were no doctors in the house, not even aspirin. If Vicki got sick, her mother just prayed. Even though their home didn't have much, it was filled with laughter. By age 5, Vicki was already putting on skits. She'd grab an old coat, turn a broom into a microphone, and start mimicking stars like Carol Burnett. The living room became her stage. She loved making her parents laugh. Sometimes she'd get invited to perform at neighbors' parties. People noticed her, but there was something more serious happening too. Her father had seen too much hatred because of their last name. He didn't want Vicki or her brother to grow up with the same kind of walls in front of them. So in the 1950s, he made a choice. He changed their last name from Axelrad to Lawrence. Vicki didn't understand it at first. It felt like hiding. Years later, she realized it was survival. At school, Vicki's voice started standing out. She joined local singing groups, practiced harmonies, and got better every week. When she was 10, she sang Over the Rainbow at a talent show. Her voice was strong, and the emotion in it hit the audience hard. She got a standing ovation. That night planted something permanent in her. She didn't know how it would happen, but she knew she wanted a future in show business. At home, things weren't easy. Illnesses were handled with silence and faith. No medicine, just stillness, prayer, and hope. Vicki suffered through fever after fever with no treatment. She later connected some of her lifelong health issues, including chronic hives, to those untreated moments from childhood. Lying in bed, shaking with fever, she learned what it meant to endure. As she got older, she moved away from the church's teachings. But that early training in holding pain quietly never left her. By the time she reached Morningside High School, she wasn't just another student. She was a powerhouse. She graduated in 1967 as class valedictorian, led the cheer squad, choreographed rally routines, and even brought jazz-style moves she'd seen at clubs into the routines. Her classmates called her a star before she even became one. She won, most likely to succeed, without question. Even the local press came to watch her rallies. She could hold a mic in one hand, lead a cheer in the other, and ace a science exam the next morning. But her dreams weren't always that clear. At first, Vicki wanted to be a dental hygienist. She signed up for pre-dental classes because she liked her dentist and thought the job seemed safe and tidy. Then something happened. She joined the school glee club and got invited to sing the national anthem at a Lakers game. Somewhere in the stands, talent scouts noticed her. They approached her afterward and told her she had stage presence. That unexpected moment flipped everything. Maybe she wasn't meant for clean teeth and quiet offices. Maybe her voice had a different future. That same year, she entered a local beauty pageant called the Miss Fireball Contest. It was run by a regional gas station chain. For the talent portion, she did a bold comedy bit imitating Lucille Ball. It worked. She won the contest and $500, real money for a teenager in 1967. More than that, it gave her an invitation to join the Young Americans, a national singing group. Doors were starting to open. But Vicki didn't wait around for permission. At 17, she started sneaking out to audition for commercials. She knew her strict parents wouldn't allow it, so she kept everything a secret. One of those auditions landed her a job in a regional milk ad. She danced, got paid, and tucked the cash away without saying a word. That quiet rebellion gave her proof she could make it. She didn't need anyone's approval. Then came the letter. She was still in high school when she wrote a fan letter to Carol Burnett. She added a photo of herself dressed as one of Burnett's TV characters and included a newspaper clipping about her beauty contest win. She never expected a reply, but Carol Burnett not only responded, she put the photo on her dressing room wall. Then she came to see Vicki perform live. When Vicki won the Miss Fireball crown, Carol was the one who placed it on her head. And that night changed everything. That same year, 1967, Carol invited her to audition. Even though Vicki had no professional acting experience, she was thrown into a screen test. One of her competitors was a trained soap actress. But when the producers asked both women to act out a sisterly fight, Vicki stole the moment. Her natural teasing, her quick banter, her improv instincts, they made her feel like Carol's real sister. She got the role. Her very first acting job was on the premiere episode of The Carol Burnett Show, airing September 11, 1967. She was 18. She had to memorize 12 full pages of script in one night. No second takes, no cue cards. She stepped on stage in front of more than 1,000 people and nailed every line. That moment didn't just prove her talent. It launched her into television history. She tried to balance this new fame with college. She enrolled at UCLA for theater arts, but the show ran 30 weeks a year. Her days started before sunrise, racing between campus and studio, 5-hour rehearsals, sketch rewrites, costume changes. Comedy legends like Tim Conway and Harvey Korman were her daily classmates. After 2 years, she couldn't keep up with the double life. She dropped out, not because she wasn't smart, but because she was already learning from the best in the business. The writers didn't make things easy for her. They didn't trust a teenage newcomer, so they tested her. They gave her silent roles to see if she could stay in character. In one sketch, she sat silently at a dinner table while Harvey Korman improvised nonstop madness around her. They wanted her to break. She didn't. Those quiet scenes sharpened her timing more than any monologue. In 1968, just a year into her fame, she joined a USO tour with Johnny Grant and flew into Vietnam. She was only 19. One night, she performed "These Boots Are Made for Walkin'" in front of 5,000 troops packed into a hot, makeshift tent city. They screamed, clapped, and cheered like their lives depended on it. Because in a way, they did. Off stage, she saw the wounded, the chaos, the fear. It made her grow up faster than fame ever could. In 1967, when Vicki Lawrence joined The Carol Burnett Show, she was just 17. Everyone else was older, seasoned, and trained. She wasn't, but she had to keep up. Carol Burnett didn't allow anyone to break character, not even during rehearsals. One day, Vicki laughed during a serious sketch. Carol stopped everything. She called the entire cast to the center of the stage, producers watching, and gave a stern lecture on discipline. Vicki stood there frozen, embarrassed, and realizing this wasn't just a job, it was war. She couldn't just be funny. She had to survive. The moment scarred her a little, but it also toughened her up. Every look, every cue, every word from then on had to land, and even as the pressure grew heavier, she stayed quiet, determined to earn her place in that room full of giants. The Eunice character wasn't supposed to be hers. It was meant for Carol. But something in Vicki's delivery changed everything. The line was cruel, something like, "Life's a bitch and so are you." And when Vicki said it, it didn't sound written. It sounded lived. The writers took notice. So did the audience. So did Carol. Vicki's bitterness wasn't a gag. It was a mirror, twisted and loud. And it worked. Eunice became a fixture. Every time she stepped into that dingy set and opened her mouth, people braced for the emotional gut punch. The sketch shifted the entire rhythm of the show, and Vicki was no longer just the young one who needed watching. She was the one stealing scenes, anchoring sketches, owning the pain behind the punchlines. In 1976, Vicki Lawrence got her first Emmy nomination. It should have been pure joy, but it wasn't. She felt like she didn't belong. Everyone else nominated that year had prestige, drama chops, theater credits, awards. She had a sketch show and years of playing the brat, the southern mess, the loudmouth. When Rue McClanahan won instead, Vicki excused herself, went to her dressing room, locked the door, and cried. She knew she'd done good work, but deep down she still thought they'd made a mistake putting her name on the list. She'd spent years surrounded by legends, pretending she was one of them. And this was a reminder that maybe she wasn't. That kind of doubt didn't vanish with a nomination. It only got sharper. The show ran for 11 seasons. That's over 250 episodes, week after week, sketch after sketch. Tim Conway's improvisations became infamous. Vicki couldn't predict what he'd do, but she had to match it every time. Sometimes she had to rewrite her lines on the fly just to stay in the scene. In 1972, the stress finally hit her body. A violent outbreak of hives covered her arms and neck. She couldn't sleep, couldn't rest. Sometimes she was already itching before she stepped into costume. But she kept going. She always did. The cameras didn't wait, and if she ever broke, someone else would take her spot. Carol Burnett wasn't just her boss. She became a mother figure, a mentor, a protector. She gave Vicki a wardrobe of 50 custom outfits just to help her keep up with Hollywood expectations. But Carol also had rules. One of them was strict: no dating coworkers. Vicki broke it. She dated one of the writers. Carol found out. It led to a quiet but intense confrontation backstage. Carol wasn't just mad. She was disappointed. She reminded Vicki how hard she'd worked to protect her. Vicki, torn between youth and mentorship, felt the full weight of that disappointment. That moment wasn't about a boy. It was about trust, about how delicate that balance was between friendship, discipline, and growing up in front of everyone. In 1972, something unexpected happened. Gary Klein, a music producer, saw Vicki singing at a cast party. He signed her to Bell Records within days. That same year, she recorded "The Night the Lights Went Out in Georgia" in one grueling 8-hour session. By January 6, 1973, it was #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. It stayed on the charts for more than 20 weeks and sold over 1 million copies. People couldn't believe it. A TV comedian now topping pop charts. In May 1973, it went gold. She became the first major actress that year to score a hit like that. But as the cameras followed and the pressure climbed, Vicki began to sense that success in music came with a different kind of pain, one she hadn't braced for. Her debut album dropped in July 1973. It sold over 2 million copies worldwide. But by the end of that same year, her voice started to give out. Nodules had formed on her vocal cords. The doctors told her to stop, get surgery. She didn't. Raised in Christian Science, she believed in prayer, not medicine. She kept performing, kept risking everything until 1974, when the pain got too strong. She finally gave in. The moment forced her to rethink the chase for fame. She had everything to lose, and now her body was proving it. In April 1973, Vicki appeared on The Tonight Show. She sang with Johnny Carson, joked, laughed, millions watched. Her album shot back up the charts. But behind the cameras, something darker began. She started receiving hundreds of letters, many from fans who didn't know boundaries. One of them broke into her hotel room in Los Angeles. She was alone. Security was called. The stalker left, but the fear stayed. Fame was no longer a stage and a spotlight. It was vulnerability. It was never knowing who might be behind the next door. The gold record should have been a shared celebration. Instead, it caused friction. Carol Burnett warned her. Music would pull her away from acting. She advised her to stay grounded, but Vicki wanted more. She chose to go on a European tour, leaving the show behind for a stretch. The gap between them widened. Carol saw it as recklessness. Vicki saw it as independence. For the first time, mentor and protege weren't aligned. The crack in their bond stayed even after the applause died down. By early 1974, her follow-up single, Delta Dawn, was everywhere. Radio stations blasted it, but it stalled at number 40. The magic of the first hit didn't carry over. Record execs wanted upbeat, easy pop. Vicki wanted something richer, deeper. They clashed. By mid-1974, the music offers dried up. No more hits, no more buzz, just silence. She walked away, choosing to return to TV. The arc was short, bright, and heavy. It ended not with failure, but with exhaustion. She married Bobby Russell on June 29, 1972. They thought it would be glamorous. But the honeymoon ended at LAX when Russell lashed out at fans who asked for Vicki's autograph. He screamed, accused her of showing off. Security had to step in. The entire terminal stared. It was a bad omen, one that followed them home. 18 months later, it was over. She filed for divorce in January 1974. Rumors said Russell had cheated. Nashville tabloids printed hotel stories and late-night gossip. He didn't deny it. He just said her fame had made him feel small. She didn't argue. The divorce was public, messy, and raw. It turned her from rising star to tabloid headline. She didn't want that, but she couldn't stop it. Then came Al Schultz, a makeup artist on the Carol Burnett Show. Carol herself introduced them, shouting from a dressing room window. Vicki kept it quiet. Too much pain from the last time. On November 16, 1974, they flew to Vegas. No press, no family, just a few friends. They got married in a small chapel. His parents didn't even know until later. It was quiet, private, hers, finally. Their daughter Courtney was born on May 3, 1975, but happiness came with a cost. Vicki suffered postpartum depression. She cried with the baby, couldn't sleep, developed stress hives that showed up just before tapings. She'd show up in costume, smile wide, then crumble behind the scenes. No one knew, or if they did, they didn't ask. She just kept going. 2 years later, on July 1, 1977, she gave birth to her son, Garrett. At the same time, she was filming both The Carol Burnett Show and Mama's Family. She breastfed between scenes, sometimes still in wig and costume. Al worked 14-hour days too. They barely saw each other. They went to counseling quietly. No cameras, no headlines, just two people trying to survive the machine. In 1975, Tim Conway told a wild story on air about a circus elephant. He didn't tell anyone he planned it. The cast broke, laughing. Vicki didn't. She was annoyed, told her husband. He said, "Get him." So, next taping, mid-scene, she snapped, "I hate elephants." It shattered the moment. Everyone broke character, even Carol. It aired anyway. Viewers loved it. Ratings spiked 15%. That's when Mama stopped being a sketch and started becoming a force. But she still didn't feel safe. Tim Conway once hid her script. She had to go out blind, live for 10 minutes. She did it, but barely. Afterward, she cried. She wasn't Tim. She wasn't trained in improv, but she learned, and eventually she started to push back. The insecurity stayed, but so did her strength. In 1982, Eunice aired as a full-length special. Vicki played Mama with so much force that she slapped Harvey Korman in one take. CBS panicked. They thought it went too far. They debated cutting it. She fought back, said that's how Mama would act. It aired uncut, and people loved it. That one special shifted her career again. She was nominated for 5 Emmys and lost them all. But what hurt more was hearing producers whisper that she'd never make it on her own. She listened, then pitched Mama's Family. The show got picked up. It ran for years, hundreds of episodes. Not bad for the kid who giggled during rehearsal. Vicki Lawrence wasn't just riding the coattails of the Carol Burnett Show when she launched Mama's Family in 1983. She was crafting something stubborn, loud, and oddly familiar for millions of American households. The first week it aired, more than 20 million people tuned in. NBC had already ordered 100 episodes up front, a bold move that signaled just how much faith they had in this raspy-voiced matriarch. Thelma Harper, who once cracked one-liners in short sketches, had suddenly become a full-bodied sitcom figure, grumpy and sharp-tongued, but grounded in something deeper. Vicki had convinced viewers that this wasn't just another spin-off. It was a household mirror, crooked but truthful. But from the start, she fought for how that mirror looked. One early script had Mama involved romantically with her brother-in-law. Vicki read it, slammed it shut, and marched straight into the writer's room. She didn't ask. She told them it was being rewritten. She didn't care how outrageous sitcoms were becoming. That wasn't the show she signed up for. Joe Hamilton, the executive producer, and also her former father-in-law, backed her. The writers reworked the plot, kept the grit, and dropped the shock. From that moment forward, Mama's morals were off limits. Vicki had drawn the line, and that line defined the show's backbone. When the network decided to shift production from CBS Stage 33, the same soundstage where the Carol Burnett Show had thrived, to KTLA for cost-saving reasons, Vicki wasn't having it. Stage 33 meant legacy. KTLA meant cut corners. So she refused to show up to the first table read. The cast sat there waiting. She never walked in. Her silence hit louder than a speech. For weeks after, the air was tense, but she made her point. This wasn't just work to her, it was memory, pride, and a bit of rebellion stitched into every scene. In 1983, producers brought in Betty White and Rue McClanahan. It sounded like gold. Betty wanted top billing. That rubbed a few the wrong way. Ego buzzed through the studio walls, and tempers started flaring. Vicki knew the show couldn't survive a diva standoff, so she started hosting cast dinners. One table, no cameras, just plates and peace. Slowly, the tension cracked. The cast began to gel. Vicki didn't just play Mama on screen, she played peacemaker in real life, smoothing edges where scripts couldn't. But then NBC pulled the plug. In 1984, after just 2 seasons, Mama's Family was canceled. Vicki was making $50,000 per episode. Fans were watching, but the network said ratings were dipping. Vicki went public. She criticized NBC's decision in interviews and on talk shows. She said they'd pulled out too early. Then syndication proved her right. From 1986 onward, the reruns soared. The show climbed in popularity. Viewers stuck around long after the network had walked away. By 1986, they'd reached 130 episodes. Vicki's instincts had been sharper than the suits. But not all battles stayed behind closed doors. In 1983, Carol Burnett divorced Joe Hamilton, and suddenly, things weren't so warm. Carol saw Vicki's continued work on Mama's Family, produced by Hamilton, as a betrayal. The friendship that had once changed Vicki's life went quiet. For 5 years, they didn't speak. Carol wouldn't call her directly. Everything went through Al Schultz, Vicki's husband. The silence was heavy. When reunion specials happened, they'd barely acknowledge the freeze. Hollywood gossip hinted, but the truth stayed between the lines. Even Wikipedia hinted at it. Personal wounds leaked into professional lives. And Vicki's own body betrayed her too. In 1972, she was diagnosed with chronic idiopathic urticaria. It flared under stress, covering more than half her skin in painful hives. Taping Mama's Family became unbearable at times. She tried everything except what her Christian Science background discouraged: medication. Finally, in 2005, she went for Xolair injections. The results were immediate. She found relief for the first time in decades. She opened up about it in interviews. Even with allergic living, the pain had always been there, but she had stayed funny through it. Al Schultz, her husband, had been her quiet anchor. A top makeup artist in Hollywood, he worked behind the scenes while Vicki took the spotlight. But even he wasn't spared from the rumors. Tabloids claimed he flirted with cast members on other shows. They speculated on jealousy, hinted at a shaky marriage. None of it was confirmed, but the whispers stung. Through it all, he stayed in the background. He died in 2022 at 82. The makeup legend had become the youngest head of West Coast makeup at CBS at just 30, but the world mostly remembered him as Vicki's husband. Quiet legacy, loud love. During the show's syndication revival from 1986 to 1990, Vicki's personal life hit turbulence. Her daughter Courtney rebelled hard, pushing back in ways that mirrored what Carol Burnett had gone through with her own kids. It shook Vicki. She started therapy for the first time. She called it painful and eye-opening. It forced her to reckon with how fame had shaped her motherhood. The Encyclopedia of World Biography noted that this was a turning point in her growth. On-screen laughs, off-screen reckonings. By the 90s, she'd had enough of live performance. Voice work became her soft landing. She took roles in animated series like Peter Pan and The Pirates. No cameras, no makeup, just her voice. It gave her space to breathe. But when a Carol Burnett reunion special was being planned in 1992, Vicki said no. The wound was still fresh. Fans wanted nostalgia. Vicki wasn't ready to fake it. IMDb confirmed the absence. The silence between them still held weight. It finally broke in 1993. Vicki's father had died in 1991, and that grief lingered between them. At the 1993 Emmys, Carol Burnett publicly apologized. On stage, live, it caught Vicki off guard. They hugged, teared up. The reunion became a TV special. The Carol Burnett Show, a reunion aired that same year. It was soft and warm, like nothing had ever gone wrong. But the years had left marks, even under the laughter. Then came 2025. Vicki, at 76, made headlines again. She joined Palm Royale Season 2 in a surprise casting. Carol Burnett was already starring. The show hinted that Vicki's character would be tied to Carol's mysterious past. Carol had personally requested her. After more than 40 years, they were working together again. The reunion wasn't just nostalgic, it was healing. Fans leaned in, waiting to see if the old spark could still light up the screen. But heartbreak struck again. On June 19, 2024, Al Schultz died at their home in Long Beach. The man who had stood in the wings for 50 years was gone. He was 82. They were just months from their golden anniversary. Vicki took her grief and turned it outward. She began speaking out for makeup artists, pushing for union rights. Her loss became a voice for others. TV Insider covered it, and the industry listened. In the early 2000s, long before all this, Vicki had launched a cosmetics line on HSN. The standout hit was Vicki's Fireball Red Lipstick. In the first year, it pulled in over $1 million. She had created something women loved because it felt like her, bold, funny, unpretentious. She picked the shades, shaped the branding, and turned her style into a business. The lipstick didn't just sell, it connected. My News to Use called it a beauty staple. She wasn't just a performer anymore, she was a brand. Now she's writing her memoir, hosting the reboot of Win, Lose or Draw in 2024. At 76, still laughing, still remembering, still surprising people, she says 90% of her career came from Carol Burnett. But she also says she regrets not speaking up more when it mattered. That voice, the one that once refused to read a table draft, now echoes louder. It's not just about the jokes anymore. It's about what it took to hold the laughter together.